The At Home Show.
Another Saturday, another holiday weekend at the At Home Show as we wish you a fantastic happy Independence Day. Yes, it's America's birthday, and she's looking spry as ever in what will be her 245th year. So, let's set the mood. That's better. Grab your musket, crack open a cold one, and listen close as Josh and David show you how to get your yard looking as colorful as those fireworks you'll see this weekend. Because while we celebrate our independence, no one said we couldn't do it in style. America. Live from the Green Room Studios from the spacious property of Bates Nursery and Garden Center, 3810 Whites Creek Pike, it's the At Home Show with Josh Cary and David Bates.
Alrighty then.
Hey, we're all here.
The whole crew is here for a Saturday morning.
I think this is, have we ever had all six of us in here at one time before? I don't think so.
It's the first time.
First time. Mm-hmm. First time. 4th of July weekend, ladies and gentlemen. Be safe out there. But what a way to kick off your Saturday morning other than to watch the fine live podcast, the live stream, the program that is the At Home Show with Josh Cary and David Bates. And I am Josh Cary.
And I am David Bates.
Moose is to the left.
All right.
Tyler's to your right.
Tyler to the right. Across the way.
Down in the mosh pit.
Got Cary and Austin on the other end. So
Good morning.
We're here to talk about all things horticultural and whatever else.
Is that the mosh pit or the infield?
Mosh pit.
Over there.
Mosh pit.
Okay.
Definitely mosh pit.
Yeah.
Listen to my intro song. It's a mosh pit.
You hear those voices off camera. They're at the other end. But they are still very much here. But remind you, you are here witnessing the At Home Show, and you can reach us by picking up the phone and either calling and leaving a voicemail or texting us at 615-499-6690. And you also can reach us out on our Facebook page and on our Instagram page. So if you've got questions, you want to send a message out there, do that. We're going to be here for the next hour. We're going to start off with the weather.
Yes.
And what a glorious day indeed it is. I even broke out the little fleece this morning because it's just a little chilly. It was 57 when I came in this morning.
A taste of fall.
Old blood is what that is.
But that cool weather's not going to last, but it'll last throughout today. Today is, of course, Saturday, the 3rd of July, and a beautiful Independence Day weekend in store. High of 83 degrees. Is that right? 83 degrees. 60 degrees for the overnight low tomorrow. A little warmer, sunny, and 90 degrees. And still another wonderful day. 95 on Monday, the observed day of independence. Actually, it's on Sunday, but everybody's taking off on the Monday because it falls on a weekend. That's what they do. And so we're no exception. We're going to do the same thing here at Bates Nursery. As we go on through the week, 93 Tuesday, and then some chances. This is the obligatory part of the forecast where they're obligated to put some thunderstorms in there a few days out.
Of course, Thursday, when I'm going to go see Jimmy Buffett that night, is going to be the greatest chance for rain.
And where are you going to see him?
Amphitheater.
Well, it's a wonderful venue. Have you been there before? Oh yeah, it's a great venue. So hopefully the weather will cooperate. We have gotten some rain around the area this week. Here at Bates Nursery, we got almost an inch total on 3 different day rain events. I want to say it was like 93 hundredths of an inch. So, however, not everyone got that much rain. Not everyone, I think probably everyone, maybe 3 or 4 tenths of an inch most recently. But we are, it's summertime. We're in that pattern, and that's the way it works. It's currently 60 degrees here in the Music City, and live from the green room here at Bates Nursery.
615-499-6690. It's a wonderful day. It is going to be glorious. There are no excuses today.
Now, Josh, we have taken turns being out of pocket. Although I was never really out of pocket. I was actually in pocket. I was not physically here for a few weeks, but you weren't here last week, and somehow I don't know what. We somehow struggled to get through without him.
Was it okay? I mean, everybody's all right.
It was rough, but we made it.
I thought it was a great show. So I'm just.
Well, there was a certain continuity that we're not accustomed to, where it kind of flowed.
No spice, huh? It was kind of dry, huh? Okay, I hear what you're saying.
There was no staccato interruptions that were,
Well, cell service in Upper Alabama is less than it is in Lower Alabama. But, because it is Alabama.
Right.
Okay. So, but as you're passing through the byways.
You were at Mexico Beach, is
yes,
that right?
I was at Mexico Beach.
What has it been, 3 years ago or 2?
It will be 3 years in October when that Hurricane Michael, Category 5, 14-foot storm surge.
So, obviously,
Calculated.
Pretty much everything there is new construction.
It is amazing some of the structures that actually stayed, but I can't imagine the devastation because we're into 2 years of 2.5 years of rebuild. They're doing very well. Mexico Beach, it's the best kept secret. Once you hear about this place, don't ever go back because it's for me and my family now. So I mean, we it's going to be our spot.
Fair enough.
Pass through if you want to. It's glorious. It really is. They've done dune reclamation.
Easy for you to say.
Well, they have. They actually went through on State Road 98 there in Mexico Beach, and they put Queen Palms all the way down the line, and they put in irrigation systems. They're planting live oaks. They're putting in some native cedars. The irrigation system actually got hooked up while we were there because they still have a potable water truck running up down the road a lot of the day. But Mexico Beach is great. It's just old South Florida or Upper Florida, and we had a lot of fun.
Now, did you guys drive or did you?
We didn't walk.
Well, no. I mean, you could have flown to somewhere and.
We had,
but that's right at that range where you go, you know what? It's probably just easier to drive and commit to the 6 hours or whatever that it is, or 7 or what is it?
Closer to 9 when you travel with the project manager.
Okay. I forget about those provisions that you have to make.
Okay, because I mean, if you really wanted to firewall it, you could get there quicker. But no, they. I'm with you, David. I mean, it's at that point where you've got to go to the airport, park your car, pay to park your car. Go in and wait, fly, because you can't go anywhere really direct out of Nashville in a lot of places. You have to go somewhere else to get there. So you've got a layover. Then you got to go to the place. Then you got to rent the car, and it's still going to take you all day long.
Right.
So
you don't really save. I mean,
it's not the money thing. It's just there's no time involved in saving it, really.
Yeah.
But we did see the beautiful Northwestern Florida International Airport. It's a very nice little airport.
It is a nice airport.
And very efficient, nice and quick, in and out. Mm-hmm. It's out in the middle of nowhere. I don't know why in the world they would have picked that spot that they put it to put
it. It was available. There was nothing else going on there.
Well, there's lots of flat ground down there, David.
Just pretty panhandle-ish down there.
Mm-hmm. America.
Are there a lot of panhandlers in the panhandle? I'm just curious.
Is that where they're from originally?
Oh, you know what? That's a good question.
Actually, it's from Texas. It's the panhandle of Texas.
Not the panhandle. What about the panhandle of Oklahoma?
Yeah, it could have been, because they're kind of come really close together there.
And technically, New Mexico has a very tiny panhandle on the bottom.
Does it?
Yeah, the little stair-step deal.
That's just its heel for the cowboy boot, is what I always heard that talked about.
I mean, I'm just saying, turn it sideways, it could be a panhandle.
You'll burn your fingers picking up that pan.
You're being too complicated.
Lots of oysters. I thought about you every time I had raw oysters this week.
My little boy ate raw oysters when we went to the safari park last week.
Did he really? Mm-hmm. Put some hot sauce and some horseradish?
No, he didn't want any more.
Put it on a cracker?
He got the one.
He said, okay, I'm good.
I tried it. You'll try anything.
615-499-6690. I do want to say hello to the at-homie that greeted me in the Piggly Wiggly at Port St. Joe, Florida.
Oh, all right. Now, who was that?
And I've lost the name if you hadn't asked me, but he was from Murfreesboro, and I was walking down the aisle looking for the horseradish, and he said, I miss your radio show. I said, why?
We haven't missed a week.
No, I mean, but we're here. But howdy doody, thank you. And it was quite a pleasant surprise. I'm going, what?
Well, you know, sure? It still happens on occasion. So we appreciate...
the face came through the radio? Is that what you're saying, David? I mean, is it...
Well, you know, look at what comes back at you in the mirror. And I don't know about you, but the reflection I get...
I'm not sure I'd greet me.
It's on a degrading scale. That's the way it goes. All right, we're here. You see the number, give us a call, send us a message, reach out to us on our Facebook page or Instagram. Also, like us if you would.
Please.
Share us out on your pages if you would, must. Be that Facebook or YouTube. That helps us to kind of get some folks out here. Let them know that we're here every Saturday morning to talk about principally landscaping and home improvement.
Or whatever we want to.
And I know you've been out of work, but you've been away from work, I should say, for the last couple of weeks. I have heard rumors, Josh, that lumber prices have begun to pull back a little bit. Do you have any knowledge of that?
The futures market fell off the table.
Because I know a guy personally that's got a pretty good list that needs to be given to his procurement officer. So, and I've not done that throughout your vacation. So, you know, you should be.
As a business owner, you do understand the concept of dollar cost averaging, because as you go up, it comes back down. You have to, you understand. So, no, I haven't seen the market. So
you haven't looked.
No.
Well, I don't, and I didn't bring it up to you.
It doesn't matter to me. So, I mean,
no, it doesn't. You're not spending the money. You're spending somebody else's money.
We'll bring it to you, David. Don't worry about it. I mean, you're good for it.
I still have to pay for it, Josh.
I understand.
That's the way it works.
No, but I do understand that it was quite a precipitous fall on the futures market as well, which is not good, actually. I mean,
let me get my order delivered. That's been impacted.
Do you want to wait a minute? It's called the futures market. Okay.
Well, everything's in the future, Josh.
No, I went on vacation last week.
That's in the past.
Okay. So that's not, it's not there.
It reminds me of the birthday card I bought my daughter, Sarah. She had her happy birthday number 33 for my daughter.
Oh, my goodness.
The card I got her says there's, two things important that you can just put out of your mind. And number one, forget about the past. It's already over. You can't do anything about it. And number two, forget about the present, because I didn't get you one.
Oh, boy.
And then forget about that, because that's now in the past.
That's also in the past. So check that out. We've got Austin and Cary here at the other end. And they have both been working this week. And good morning, guys.
Good morning.
They've been the two people who have been heavily involved with emptying the greenhouse of our garden center, moving everything to an adjacent area outside, every single plant, all of it, and most other things. And what was that all about?
David told you to do it? Is that pretty much?
David said do it, so we did.
Well, there's a tie-in. There's a tie-in to what I was talking with Josh about. That is that it's every now and again, like it's every year when you've been in business, and we've had the good fortune to be in business for a long time, time takes its toll. So it's now time to replace that roof and do the needed repairs. So we're kind of are taking all of that old structure off, which will mean on Tuesday, next week when we reopen after the holidays, it's going to all be roped off, and you kind of have to walk around to get to the tropicals, or go around the low side to go on the outside of the building, simply because we've got this demolition that's going to be occurring, and trying to do so and continue to conduct business. It's going to be difficult, but I believe we're up to the challenge. So
I'm excited.
They're going to come in actually on Monday while we're closed and do the bulk of the demolition, which will help.
It means you got to walk 15 extra feet, people. Mm-hmm. It's not that big of a deal.
I'd say it's a little bit more than that. With the walking around.
Yeah, I've never embellished anything.
So you guys moved everything outside. And
We
I
did.
must say it looks really nice. It's unfortunate that our weather doesn't allow us to keep it out there year round. But in order to have the amount of there we go. Tyler's got us some video up there. He's showing, and you see it looks rather bare, and all those boards across the top are going to all come out in that polycarbonate roofing. It's going to go to a more of a conventional greenhouse type structure, like you see in other parts of the nursery. So that's what we're working towards, and so we've got it cleared out. That's what it looks like today. And if you go outside, that's where all the tropicals are. So if you come out and look around, we've got all that stuff. It's just been relocated.
If it was all there before, it being outside, your selection, it is so much easier to see out there right now. I was stunned by the number. I even commented that there's a bunch of cactus. Did you guys get a bunch of cactus in?
Nope, we had that. We just moved it all. It all looks great out there.
Yeah,
You know,
It really does.
That's what I call the Costco effect. Costco, they never leave anything anywhere for more than maybe a couple of weeks. You cannot, I have to ask, do you guys have peanut butter? Oh, yeah, it's on the other corner of the store now, or whatever. So it's
about the pool supplies.
yeah.
It's
So-
amazing. You have something sitting for a while in one spot, and then you move it, and it seems like it sells that day.
Yeah.
It's just,
It's unusual, but
Yeah.
it's a valid phenomenon. It's always there's work involved in doing that, but it's nice to kind of handle things. And sometimes you've got things that you notice, oh, there's a bad leaf there, or something I need to remove from it. But anyway, that's the way it's going to look when you come out to Bates Nursery today. By the way, we are open until 4:00 today. We will be closed on Sundays as we are right now, and we will be closed on Monday. So
Were the fiddle leaves back there too? Because there's some huge
Oh, they
fiddle
are.
leaf
Yeah,
figs.
they're actually
back
out on
there.
the lot
I
right
saw,
now.
yeah, I saw them in the video right there, so you can come check all that out. There's a lot of things
There's
that
a
people
cacti.
need to be thinking about this time of year with regard to your landscape. There they are, Josh. See right there?
Yeah, fiddle leaves.
Did you find them?
there.
I set one
Josh
up.
found 'em.
I set one back up.
Did you
Yes,
this
I did.
morning?
Yes, I did.
Oh,
It's okay.
that's so nice.
You just need to come out every morning and do
and
that.
set up
job.
all the trees that blow over. That's
Matter of
Josh's
fact,
new job.
if you want to come out Saturday and Sunday ahead of the number one crew, moi,
Yeah.
you can do that. Maybe
Numero uno,
I'm just hoping for minimal wind is what I'm hoping for. So anyway, appreciate you coming out to see us today, or again, starting Tuesday of next week, we will be open. We do, as you see, have a great selection of tropicals. They've just been moved outdoors, so don't be aghast when you look and see that it appears we've sold out of everything in tropicals. We actually still have, if unless I'm mistaken, we have we've got in a couple of shipments of tropicals
have,
this
yeah.
week.
Bunch of stuff back there.
we still have a lot. We didn't downsize at all. We just condensed
and
it.
I'll tell you what I'll do. Since I've spent so much time kind of talking about this, why don't we just go ahead and do this little thing about Bates Nursery here, and then that'll let us be able to segue, hopefully, into the next little thing here. We've got I saw he has got Austin queued up there on It's Worth a Grow.
Uh-oh.
So we'll get to see.
got
Austin
you.
and his work, but here at Bates Nursery and Garden Center, this is kind of what if you see on our webpage there, the structure that you see over the perennial area is the way it will look inside the garden center once that's all done. So it'll make it look a lot better, a lot brighter, and not have leaks. It's gotten really leaky.
That was hard. Moving the
was-
plants when it rained so they didn't get drenched.
Yes, well, and it's hard to negotiate the customers where they could stay in dry while they're trying to check out. So anyway, we invite you to come out and see us. We've been in business since 1932. My grandmother started this business way back then, and over on 26th in Charlotte, and we've been here since the late 50s. The garden center was built in the mid 70s, so we've been here at what we do for 89 years now, and I know maybe I don't look quite that old. I wasn't around those early years, but what we do have is many decades of experience. We've got a staff of individuals that can answer any question you can bring forth. And if we can't come up with it off the top of our head, we'll go out there and look it up. We're not opposed or too good to say we don't know, but we've got a lot of experience. So more often than not, we probably have encountered it already. So come out and pick our brains and take photographs of your unique landscape situation. Whatever area that you are dealing with, bring those out to us, and that'll help us to have insight, on your smartphone or on your
dumb phone
or on your tablet. Yeah. You can even bring actual printed photographs. I don't know if people still do those or not.
You'll be amazed. Yes. People still do that a lot. So there's a guy out here yesterday with like 10 pages of pictures of his house.
So there you go. And what's good about that is that it enables you to be able to draw directly onto that. If you take a Sharpie and mark on people's phones, they don't like that very much. So
yeah.
Anyway, come out and see us. Where if you're a Bates Rewards member and you get my weekly newsletter, you already know this. We're doing 10% off everything, and that's the only exclusions of that are deliveries and gift cards. Other than that, everything, be it bulk material, pottery, all of our bag materials, soils, all plants, trees, shrubs, ground covers, everything, 10% off. So come on out and see us today, and you can take full advantage of that. We have a great selection of everything. So whatever it is you're looking for, come out and see us. We'll have Cary here and Austin here and all the rest of the cast. So you're going to get help, and you're going to get the expertise you need to get the right plant in the right place the first time. And, of course, we are big advocates of Earth Mix Garden products. And if you want to buy the best plants, and that's what you see when you come out to Bates Nursery and Garden Center, you want to get the very best results out of them, and you get that by using Earth Mix Garden products. And it's a process that's not done very much. We actually try to, first of all, make the most viable soils and amendments so that it will give you the most productivity out of your plants. It's not the cheapest, but when you compare what you produce out of it, it probably is. So check that out. We're conveniently located 1 mile north of Briley Parkway, exit 19 on White's Creek Pike. Come see us, Bates Nursery and Garden Center, and I appreciate you giving us a moment to talk about that. Cary, you got a couple of questions out there, I understand.
Yes, I do. We have one left over from last week from Elizabeth Duffy Bond. She wants to know a little bit more about native Tennessee flowers and trees.
Okay.
It's a broad topic.
All right. Austin?
Almost endless.
Yes, almost. Well, yeah. And we really work hard at trying to put together an extensive and pretty exhaustive list. And, of course, Joy, our co-worker here, who's, by the way, on vacation this week, but Joy kind of heads up that area, but certainly we all get to deal with that. Let's talk about some of the natives that are available, Austin.
Well, if we talk about trees, like I said, it's almost endless. I mean, we live in the deciduous hardwood capital of almost the world. I mean, we got more species of trees than most anywhere. So, gosh, the oaks, the maples, the
tulip trees,
tulip poplar. I mean, it's almost endless here. And we sell all of the natives here in our deciduous tree lot. So, really, anything you want. We've got some weird stuff, too. We don't just have natives, but we carry almost every native that we kind of sell that's in the woods, I mean, out around here. So
I think she's probably thinking more about the ornamental trees.
Probably
like
dogwoods.
Dogwoods and redwoods.
Dogwoods, redbuds. I mean, those are the biggest two by far. I'd say dogwood's our best-selling tree. What do you think?
I would say that's pretty close. You know, they're always in high demand, and we never seem to have quite as many as we would like to have. I mean, even though we look like we'll never sell all of these, and somehow they're gone, and we're trying to find more. So yes. Dogwoods and redbuds. Of course, there are many cultivars that are available, those that are not the, quote, native cultivar. Yeah. And dogwoods in particular, well, and redbuds also, there's quite a lot of different cultivars that have been developed. And these principally come from where someone has found a sport and they have isolated it and successfully...
Baseball?
A sport's a mutation.
Mutation.
Yes, that's a plant mutation.
It's a little growth that comes off of it that doesn't look like.
That's a sport right there.
So,
if you're going to point it at Austin, at least do it, on the other side of the TV.
So anyway, those cultivars are developed that way. Also, there are other things that are of dogwoods that are not the native types. The Cornus Florida, which is in all those cultivars are the native dogwoods. Then there's Cornuscusa, which are the Chinese cultivars, and there are other dogwoods as well. Some are actually don't look much like a dogwood. The red twig and yellow twig dogwoods don't look anything like the other dogwoods. So, but they're still a dogwood. But those are not the natives. So for people who are really interested, and if you want to see a lot of talk about the natives, you can go back about 2 or 3 weeks back when Joy was on here for 2 consecutive weeks, and she really did an exhaustive amount of discussion about that and how to incorporate those into your landscape. And it's a really excellent idea simply because all of the little creatures of nature have become accustomed to the things that we have growing that have been around for eons, so to speak. So it's good to have some of those native things in there to give the butterflies and the birds and all of the other creatures something that they are accustomed to finding. That's not to say that hybridized types don't provide any. They have to be naturalized, and they have to acquire the knowledge that they can get something off of it.
Yeah, Joy, over the past year, has really gotten interested in natives, and she even ordered from a company this year out of Illinois, I believe, that's got a bunch of weird native stuff. I mean, stuff that you really don't see at other nurseries, and we still have a lot of that stock right now. Some of it's blooming, and it works well in our areas. So if you're into natives, like Joy is a really excellent person to talk to when it comes to that, and she's stocked us up on some good stuff that you just don't see usually at other garden centers.
Well, and part of that's a function of just, it takes quite a lot of room to carry the vast numbers of inventory that we do have on hand. And because of that, it gives us the ability to be able to pretty much address almost any landscape situation that you're going to encounter. We know, be it sun or shade or soils that don't drain well or things that seem to get dry all the time. If you are apprised of what your situation is fully, we can really give you good information as far as what are the things that are going to likely do well in your area and also be pleasing to look at the same time.
Yep.
All right, 615-499-6690. Do we have another question? We still have.
Yes, we do. We've got one more from Instagram from Annette Klaus 6. I have 2 Japanese cedar trees planted early March, just turned brown despite watering. Any tips?
All right,
Japanese
so the cryptomerias. Turning brown is one of those things that's it's subject to interpretation. And this is where a look is worth 1,000 words, and so all we can do is speculate. We don't know whether it's turning brown on the tips or if it's turning brown on the interior, and those, of course, designate 2 different problems. Go ahead and discuss that a little bit.
Yeah,
Austin.
we ought to talk. A lot of times interior browning is one thing that's somewhat natural with a lot of evergreen conifers. I mean, all those plants do shed a little bit, and they shed it from the interior first.
And the reason being is because of lack of light. They're sun-loving plants, and when they grow so thick that they shade themselves on the inside, then that foliage is no longer contributing to photosynthesis. Therefore, the plant gets rid of it because it didn't have to support it that way.
Yeah.
And where you have planted it at your house is almost certainly going to get less light than it gets here on the lot.
Yes.
It'll get all day long here. If you get any amount of shade at all, that changes the amount of available light that's on the interior of that plant. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Exactly. And the thing is too is that with cedars like that, they don't drop that foliage on the interior. Some things in the conifer world, like say magnolias or whatever, big evergreens, they'll shed those leaves and they'll actually drop. But cryptomeria doesn't do that. It keeps that brown on the stem. So you actually have to go in there and physically remove that with your hands, knock it off. It's pretty easy to knock off, and then it gets back and you just see green again. So browning on the interior is one thing. Now browning on the exterior where the new growth occurs is another issue, and it could be a number of things. Cryptomeria is one of those. It's one of those plants to me that it takes a minute to get established. So
once it does,
it's great. But it seems like people have trouble with it early. There's a number of plants like that. Dogwood comes to mind, actually. It takes a while to kind of latch in. Once they latch in, they're great. But cryptomeria is a little touchy at first.
Well, and
could be what sounds like spider mites to me. But I mean, that
could be.
It could be.
That's the thing. We got to see, though. We got to.
So take your dumb phone and do a video. Okay.
And here's the two things, and here's where where it can be very confusing is you see these brown tips on the end, and it's easy to think immediately, well, I've let it get dry, so I'm going to water it.
Yeah.
Where unless you have collected information by putting your finger in the ground or taking a moisture meter, you may be 180 degrees out of phase, so to speak. You may be pouring gas on a fire trying to put it out.
Exactly. There's two types of waters. There's one that doesn't do it enough, and there's one that overdoes it real bad. An everyday water or something.
No, I water it for 20 minutes every day. Stop that. You need to water for 20 minutes or 15 minutes twice a week at most, even in the hottest, driest part of the year, because plants need to have moisture, but they also alternatingly need to have dryness. The roots grow for what reason? In search of moisture. If you keep it wet all the time, on many plants, they just won't grow. Most conifers, that is the case. Now, there's a couple of exceptions. Those are usually the deciduous conifers, like a bald cypress or a dawn redwood. Now, those are very much water lovers. They can just stand in water. Yeah. But most of your other conifers really don't like wet feet. No. So they need to get wet, then they need to dry.
So they seek their own water. We need them to latch in deep. We need them to get into our own native soil and find their own water. That way you ain't got to water, as years go on. And once a plant latches in here in Middle Tennessee, we're usually good. What you doing over there?
I got
Looks like he's miming.
I got bait.
I would smash that little thing. I don't know what it was.
I was getting ready. I was getting ready to clap him to death, but he moved him.
Thank you for saving him, Josh.
Little spider.
You're not hurting anybody.
You wait until he grows into a vampire spider, and you'll feel differently about it then.
Chupacabra spiders.
What they do exist, Josh. The chupacabra
bear bugs. They're actually they're Tennessee natives as well.
Right. 615-499-6690. That's how you get in touch with us. If you've got a question, you can message us at that number. You can leave a voicemail. You can also go to our Instagram page and leave a message there, or to the Facebook page, The At Home Show with Josh, Cary, and David Bates. It's the same name on both of those.
Yes, or call the phone number.
Yes, you can. Leave a message. I see an old friend, Sharon Sears, is watching us this morning.
Would she appreciate you calling her an old friend?
She wouldn't care.
Okay.
Huh?
All right.
She wouldn't care. So, but folks, we're here for you. That's what we're here for. Tyler, do you have the remote control, or does David in control of the remote control?
Hey, before we do that,
okay,
let's do this. You had got it queued up. I know that Worth a Grow segment. So let's go ahead and let him do that one, and then we'll switch inputs. And here it comes.
Any minute now. Yeah.
Oh, do we have audio?
We need.
Start over here. Again? Start over. Go now.
Gotta have that.
Worth a Grow with Austin.
Hey y'all, Austin here. Today we've got a special Worth a Grow. You're at my house, and I wanted to show you incredible hydrangeas. Look at these things. They are huge. This shrub right here, it's kind of like you've probably heard of Annabelle hydrangea. This is a similar plant. It's an arborescence type of hydrangea, but they're called Incredible. That's the specific variety, and hence the name. They get huge. Look at these blooms. I mean, they're massive. They're about half show right now. So last week they were in full bloom, pure white all across the board. Now they're starting to fade a little bit to this kind of green. I planted 5 in here in a grouping. These plants look so much better when you put them in mass rather than just one. So putting these all up in a grouping is really the way to get the best effect. Now, this plant right here can handle some pretty good full sun as it ages, but whenever it's young and you first plant these, if you get these in a full sun environment, they're gonna wilt on you pretty hard every day. So I've got a crepe myrtle out here in front of me that's gonna kind of block some of the sun that gets on these throughout the day. So these prefer a partial sun type of environment, and they'll even bloom in a mostly shade environment as well. It's an excellent plant. It grows and blooms on new and old wood. So whenever these plants decide to go dormant over the winter time, I'm gonna give all these stems a good cut back. I'm going to take them back in pretty low, back off into here probably is about where I'm going to have the old sticks, and they're going to leaf out from those old sticks, and they're going to leaf out from the ground. They send sucker sprouts up. What's funny enough is the tallest blooms you see back here are actually from sucker sprouts from the ground. They're not even from the old sticks from last year. This whole stem right here came from the ground all the way up, and it's literally 5.5 feet tall from the ground.
insane. A really, really good plant to grow. Beautiful space filler along a long hedge. Whatever you want to do with them, these are certainly worth a grow.
And by the way,
fantastic.
In case you didn't know, Austin is 8 feet tall.
Yes. He's just sitting on the floor because they went.
But the Incredible is a great, as you mentioned, arborescens type of hydrangea. Now I've got the old standard Annabelle at my house. Mm-hmm. I actually planted those in a triangle using 10 plants, mm-hmm. But I follow the same way that you do yours exactly. I cut them back to perhaps a foot tall mm-hmm. every year, and they have been just absolutely outstanding. People who have not had hydrangeas in their gardens prior to this year probably are making some additions this year. They have been outstanding.
The spring is amazing for them this year.
For mm-hmm. all types of hydrangea. Yep. I mean, you with your oak leaf types, those are pretty consistent. They don't vary a whole lot. They're good every year. Mm-hmm. They're just growing machines. The arborescens types are pretty reliable as well. Now, the garden hydrangeas or the macrophyllus are the ones that are hit and miss. Yeah. But this year they hit everywhere.
They hit awesome this year. They are still full show. I mean, it's been weeks. I've been noticing the blues and the purples and the pinks around town just full show.
And I think this is where the repeat bloomers are probably starting to show what their real value is, and to keep sending some bloom buds all along and keep that color rolling out through the summer.
Yeah, hence the endless summer collection, I guess, is your...
I noticed you were a River Rock mulch person.
You know, that was existing. That was there when I bought the home 2 years ago, and I wasn't about to shovel all that out and redo it. So the rock is there.
I also noticed there was a crepe myrtle behind you as you were talking. Behind there was a crepe myrtle right behind you.
No, I got one crepe myrtle in front. No, behind me I got 3 camellias behind me.
Oh, it's a camellia.
I used camellia against that wall. Yeah,
no, that's very good.
I had a protection. I did this week was a garden tour. Joy did hers last week on her house. So we're trying to kind of feature what we do, so make sure let people know we're not just not doing anything, and we got some stuff at our house.
We don't just talk the talk. We walk the walk.
We actually do it. So I did a whole full garden tour of every shrub in my bed this week, and I think Tyler's working on that to get it out maybe next week. I don't know, Tyler. Yeah.
We'll see. Well, the good thing is he's got it in the can, and he's just trying to work it all up, and it does take time. The post-production skills of Tyler are considerable, but it still takes time.
He's awesome at it.
We'll get around to it. 615-499-6690. That's how you get in touch with us here and talk about what's going on at your house. This is the time of year we're officially in that last month of the trimming season. You heard me right. This is the last month of you. Go,
if you haven't sprayed for bagworms, today's your last day to do it.
Well, I mean, it's not your last day to do it, but they start getting much more difficult to deal with if you wait longer. Mm-hmm. But I know it seems like, well, we just turned summer a few days ago. That's true. But if you want to have the very best show of your plants, so many people ask the questions about trimming, and they ask them at the wrong time of year. Mm-hmm. You need to have on most things, you need to have your trimming done by the 1st of August at the latest. And there's a good reason for that, is that when you trim things, it stimulates the production of new growth. And of course, that's part of the trimming process. You're not just making it smaller, you're making it more dense. And depending on what you're trimming, that's likely a very desirable thing. However, if you wait beyond the early part of August, that new growth will still come out. Obviously, the weather's plenty warm. It doesn't give it time to harden off fully as we're going into the winter season. And it's very important if you don't want to get tip burn on your plants. Or worse, you don't want to push things all the way to
I hate it when my tip gets burned.
Well, you leave it out there and you just see what happens.
I understand.
It is bad on your plants. Mm-hmm. So, and while it may not kill them, you do see on occasion. We had a couple of years ago, we had a lot of plants that got severely damaged by a late arriving fall. We had and we had no frost or freezes. We went to 17 degrees 2 consecutive nights, and 10 days prior it had been in the 90s. And so, what I'm saying is the people who had the same kind of plants that in other people's yards got damaged severely had far less damage because they didn't trim late and they didn't fertilize late. You want to try to get your plants to working towards dormancy, whether the weather is cooperating or not. There's no shortage of challenges when you're dealing with your landscape, and it's just good to be apprised of what's going on. That's why we're glad to be here and help answer questions.
I noticed.
Go ahead.
I noticed last year on my drive home, there's this guy that has 3 hollies, and hollies specifically are well known for getting burned.
Yes.
And he trimmed his a little bit late last year, and they flushed out beautifully. I mean, as they usually do. They're nice and uniform, got them how he wanted them. We had those 17-degree nights. Every bit of that new growth got whacked, and it's still, I mean, they're fine. They're fine right now. I still drive by them and look at them, but all that new growth, he lost at least 8 inches of growth just by doing that. So, we want to avoid that. Yews are another hedge that specifically you cut your yews back too late, and they flush out, and they can get damaged pretty easily.
Now, a lot of things you really need to be thinking in terms of, and you mentioned yew, as is true with most conifers. If you're going to do a severe pruning on those, you really need to do that at the end of winter, the very beginning of spring, before any new growth emerges at all. The main thing with conifers is that you cannot cut them back like you would a broadleaf or certainly a deciduous, where that you remove all the foliage. Matter of fact, you've got to leave a substantial amount of that on there, or they simply won't regenerate. Oh, they might in 2 or 3 years.
Yeah,
maybe.
But if you want to look at dead-looking sticks all that time, so with conifers, it's really important to stay on top of the trimming and don't let them get multiple years away from them, because you
can't take them back.
You can't take it back. All you left to do is either live with it or pull it out, transplant it somewhere else, or just get rid of it altogether.
Yeah, exactly. They've got to photosynthesize. They have needles. They have no surface area on their leaves, so they need leaves to photosynthesize. And when you cut them all off, it just doesn't work.
No, in the woodland areas where they have cut back some conifers, in about like hemlock, for instance, it'll take them about 3 years before they'll regenerate. But you're not going to want to wait years for something to look like it. It may as well be dead if it's not already. And a lot of those kind of things simply won't come back where we are. Maybe a higher elevation where it's not as severely hot. In the summertime, they could come back, but they're just not going to do that here. So whether it's mostly your trimming, it's most important right now. Would you not agree, Austin, is going to be broadleaf evergreens that are
getting out of bounds, getting out of the way.
Well,
got to give them a haircut.
You start to see wild hairs coming off your whatever it may be. Laurels really shoot, and they can, and hollies especially really shoot, and they have a lot of wild stems. So taking them back now is a good idea to go ahead and do, and that'll get them back uniform before the fall comes and before the winter comes. Deciduous things that we're cutting right now, me and Cary were talking about this yesterday. It's been a bad year for roses, it seems like. I'm a rose guy. We both are, actually. She grows a lot of roses too, and I love my roses, but I've had to cut them more this year than I think I ever have. So my roses do not look good now, but it's okay to give them a cutback. They will reflush. They'll be fine.
Now, you're seeing that mostly in your tea roses?
Yes. Yeah, I don't grow knockouts or anything. I grow the old school kind of classic, the hybrid teas, the floribundas. I like the cool ones, but man, they come with issues. This year specifically, we've had insects, we've had black spot. It's been a rough year on roses. Even knockouts, I've noticed. Knockouts, which are like the easiest rose to grow on
They're
earth.
Pretty much.
Pretty much, but this year, even still,
one that's sad.
Yeah, it's.
Well, I replaced 4 this year. We had some of the first ones that I remember you guys getting in here years ago, and they had thrived and thrived and thrived, and they were just awful looking coming out of this winter. I mean, it was like they just got to the point where I'm done, guys.
I'm not sure what it was either. Horticulturally, I'm still thinking about it. I don't know. I mean,
could the snow that we had with the 9 days?
They're so hardy.
And I've tried to also reason why what is it that made this year so good on the hydrangeas and made it? Is it that same thing make it so bad on roses? I mean, is it a combination of the amount of moisture, the amount of cold weather we had that
it was the perfect storm this year, I think, this spring, of just a fungusy start, and then the bugs came out, and right behind it.
Well, what didn't come out are the cicadas.
I haven't seen a single cicada.
See, Bill Hayes watching from Everett, Washington this morning.
Well,
there's a really good seafood place in Everett, by the way.
And by the way, Bill, I've got some friends who are looking for some concrete work. So I'll reach out to you.
Does every concrete job come with a free bottle of hot sauce?
Oh, I don't know.
I bet it does. You got to ask.
He grows some. I ate every bit of that I got from him last year. It was pretty awesome. I'll tell you that. I like hot sauce. I mean, muy picante.
I will say, on the cicada note, I was hiking at Cloudland Canyon in Georgia. Heard the cicadas, but not really in Chattanooga.
Cloudland Canyon, and is it actually in Georgia, or is it in Upper Alabama?
Nope, it's Georgia.
Now, one thing is that you need to know about cicadas. There's the 13-year brood, and there's the 17-year brood, but then there are annular cicadas, and these are ones that are of either one of those, but they get off cycle somehow, and there's always
probably need hormones.
There's always a few cicadas every year.
Yes.
But there's not not like biblical proportions where it's you feel like that
So since they didn't
There's
really
one more plague upon Egypt that is on your head, David Bates.
So
because you called for them.
If they didn't really come out this year, would they come out next year?
Well, they came out east of here. Now there's another brood that is coming along, and I think it's in 2024. Is that right,
Yes.
Tyler?
Yep. That's
and that may be the big whammy. Now what?
That's the 13-year brood, and then this is the 17-year.
Now
this year,
I think it's at like every 157 years. These two broods land on top of each other at the same time.
I thought that's what was supposed to happen this year.
Now apparently it did not.
Can you go to input number dose, sir?
I
have to get everybody's opinion about something on here.
I haven't looked at it in a while. I had to figure out which button it was.
What you see here, ladies and gentlemen, we did do some shore fishing, some surf fishing. Whose fish is the biggest fish?
I think it's your daughter's.
I do too.
Is it just the angle, or is it the angle?
It's probably the same fish, and they just
no.
I think it's because she's more petite, and
it's forced
perspective.
Perspective.
Is that a shark?
They're all three are sharks.
Are they?
Yeah, caught them right off the shore.
Is this the future son-in-law right here? Unofficially.
That's Dean Blanks, and Dean is.
We haven't assigned him a title yet.
We haven't got a ring. There's no ring.
Okay.
So
you bet. Young man. Word to the wise.
Don't let her get away.
You want to tie up that free agent in a long-term agreement.
Comes with a signing bonus.
She's what you call a keeper. So.
It does not come with a signing bonus. There are no dowries involved in this child. I promise you that.
But she has much potential. Well, she's actually already fulfilled it, but she's going to be a veterinarian. She's not. She
better be. That's all I can tell you. After got about another year.
Are there more images you wish to show, Josh?
No. But like I say, forced perspective. That was what I was saying.
I have an image.
You have an image?
You need to go to 3.
Yes.
Okay.
We didn't get to this last week.
Well, this is a little bit different. Is that zucchini too big?
That's about right.
I would say that's almost at weaponized stage. It's you're talking about hours.
Moments.
You really now for me that's way too big for a zucchini. Now depending on how you're preparing it, but I really don't like them to be much more. I mean, you need to go out there and cut them every day, if not morning. If they're a little bit small in the morning, go back in the afternoon and check it. Don't let it go another day. Okra is far worse than zucchini. I mean,
well, that one snuck up on me. I was out there getting tomatoes, and I happened to look down, and I was like, "What the heck is that?"
Now that one would be one I would call a stuffer. Now I would cut him in half, long ways, take out part of the pith in the middle and the seeds, and then I would use a combination of cheese, perhaps crab meat, some red, some of your tomatoes and some onion, and put it under the broiler for a few minutes.
Everyone who gardens is always proud of their gardening efforts, but not everyone who gardens.
Hey, they were selling camel jerky in Alabama.
That's the other one I wanted to show.
Is it flying? Yeah. Is it flying out of or into his mouth?
He looks so happy.
I love food.
But yeah, it's just going crazy. That's the other one on the show we didn't get to last week.
Yeah, you can get camel jerky in Lower Alabama.
Why would you want camel jerky?
Why wouldn't you want camel jerky? Have you ever had camel jerky?
Does it taste like chicken? Is what
I know. When I look at a camel, the first thought that comes to my head is, boy, I bet he'd be good jerked.
What?
Yeah.
Well, you get got it.
Well, there are as little water as
would you do a Bactrian or a dromedary? What would be better?
I think a dromedary definitely is going to be a better. You want 2 humps on there, not just one.
How do you take your camel?
I like mine rare.
2 humps.
615-499-6690. Hey, let's take just a moment here. Talk to you about if you want to get the absolute best success out of whatever you're growing. And we talk about all manner of plant material here on the At Home Show. There's one thing that is a common thread in success between whatever you might grow, and that's Earth Mix garden products. And whether you're talking about Earth Mix Garden, a premium topsoil blend, or Earth Mix Landscape, which is a premium soil conditioner. If you're planting trees or shrubs, that's a product for you. Maybe you're more into the area of plants that Cary deals with, which is or the interior plants. Proganics I is a great choice for that. Or if you're outdoor container gardening, Proganics O. Anyway, no matter what your application is, whether you want to just build up the soil you already have, maybe using for a future planting, using supernatural product made by Earth Mix.
Got to have some if you got raised beds, folks. You got to put it in there.
No matter which you use, they're all 100% organic. They're all sustainably produced, and it's done so right here in Nashville, Tennessee, and they're available all over the Middle Tennessee, Kentucky area. Go to earthmix.net and click on the Find Earth Mix tab. You see it right there in the top right corner, and when you get to that, you will see that there are little blue pins as soon as the map comes up. They're all over up in Indiana, in Ohio, all across Kentucky and Middle Tennessee, as well as in Western and Eastern Tennessee. So check all of that out for all the locations of Earth Mix nearest you. And remember this, success in gardening begins at the ground level when you use Earth Mix garden products, and we appreciate you taking a moment talking to us and listening to us talk about that. So, all right.
I think it's time. If we got a plant rant this week?
I think we should.
Yes. It's time.
Sometimes she just needs to vent a little. It's Plant Rants with Cary Gant.
And good morning again. I thought you guys forgot about me.
No.
Right at the end. I love it. I get to wrap everything up.
This is the big finish, Cary.
It's the finale, if you will.
You've gotten well acquainted with all the tropicals this week since you've gotten to handle
each and every one of them.
You've relocated them for a few weeks here while we do a construction project or redo of the roof.
Yep.
So tell us what interesting tidbits you found while you were in that process.
Well, I did get to clean up a lot of plants, which was fun. Throw a few away that looked a little bit sad or take them home to try to save them. But I just wanted to bring in a few plants that we do have out where we have put the house plants. Just so you know, we still have them. It's a little condensed. Some things are hard to find, but these are some of my favorites. This lady palm, she's quite the lady. She's a little bit large.
Now, is that a Rafis cultivar? That is a Rafis, right? Okay.
And we have 3 different sizes of her. She can take lower light. So if you're thinking about a pool palm, don't go with this one. Not the best.
Nope.
Not the best option.
But it's a great palm for
indoors.
Indoors near a fairly bright window, but it doesn't need direct light. That's what makes it good for an indoor plant.
Yeah, and you can also put it on your porch right now if it's covered. Again, not a lot of direct light, but it does like that diffused, bright, indirect light. In front of it is a couple ficus. We haven't gotten these in a while. The altissima, it's a variegated. It's got some lime green leaves. I'll just hold it up. Ooh, can you see it?
Yes.
Look at her go. I actually bought one when they came in because I've wanted one for a few years.
That's a ficus?
It's a ficus, yeah.
Right. Now, are they persnickety and want to be left in the same spot like some of the ficus do?
It's not as bad as the fiddle leaf. I find, I move mine around a lot since I got it. I've had it for about a month. It's out in my front yard in full sun. So it's doing great, as well as my Audrey, which I have one right here.
Talk about that one for a minute.
Which one? The Audrey?
Audrey, yes.
Yeah, so there, let me pull this one up a little bit closer. Clearly, she's a little bit root bound.
She needs to go home to somewhere.
She does need to go home. Somebody come in and take her home. I'd say these are one of the easiest ficus. They grow really quickly. You can actually see how thick the trunk is where they cut it back. It can take full sun. It doesn't take a lot of transition period. Once I stuck mine outside from the winter, I pretty much just put it in full sun.
Now that one,
burning.
Would you trim any of those roots off the bottom, or are we going to cut the pot away from it to try to pull it?
A little bit of both, yeah.
Okay.
You probably have to take some off the bottom to get it out and maybe cut the pot.
Well, and the biggest issue that people have, whether they realize it or not, with ficus is that they don't water correctly, and and they need to, particularly, and this is true on people generally speaking, underwater outdoor plants and overwater indoor plants. Yep. So the lack of patience, you look at them inside the house and you're right there every day. You think, well, I need to do something. Sometimes doing nothing is the something you need to do.
Less is more with ficus for sure.
Absolutely.
If your plant looks good, let it be.
Let it be.
It's fine.
Leave it alone.
The best way to really gauge whether it needs water or not is to pick it up.
Yeah, feel how heavy it is.
If it still feels heavy, hey, let it go. Because they really are. If you see them starting to drop leaves or get brown the tips, you know with certainty that you're keeping it too wet. It's almost never because it's too dry.
Yeah,
never.
I let mine dry out pretty significantly, especially in the winter in between waterings. I have had a couple people come in with problems specifically for their fiddle leaf, but some other ficus. And I ask them how much they're watering, and they're giving it half a cup of water a day, which that's just going to get on the top layer of the soil. It's going to get shallow root growth. It's just not good.
So what you're suggesting is that when you're watering something, you need to really drown it. You want to thoroughly soak it. Then you want to let it drain out and let it get to where it's nearly almost powder dry before you water it again. And the plant will tell you clearly when it's ready for more water. Time. The one thing about, I think is another note worth mentioning, is that if you're going to transplant a plant like that ficus you're showing there, it's well rooted, it's ready to be transplanted to a larger container, you can probably step that up to a much larger container right now. But if you were waiting until November to do the same thing, you would be unwise to step it up that much. You've got the whole growing season ahead of you still at this point. It's going to root into that soil. It's going to take it up, and it's going to really jump growth-wise. But if you do that same thing going into the winter months when you have short days and the propensity to keep it too wet, that's where people run into problems.
What about the one on your right, Cary? The one with the
Swiss cheese plant? Oh, this one's fun. Let me just reach across here, slide her over. It's a philodendron. We did just get these in as well. They've been pretty hard to come by this year. I don't think we've had them since probably November. But it can trail. You can put it in a hanging basket, or it can climb.
Yeah, Austin, that's not shot hole fungus, right?
No.
That's a horticultural joke. Yeah, that would be really bad.
Look at it rooting, though, from the stems.
Isn't that an amazing plant? And the good thing about those is if you buy one and you want to share it with others, they're very easy to propagate.
Super easy.
Every little leaf node has roots already popping out.
So you would just set another little pot beside it and let it take over?
Cut it off.
You could do that. I would
just cut it off and repot it.
Put it in some water.
Yeah, they're really easy to propagate.
Super easy to care for. They like a little bit more water than the ficus that we were talking about. I don't let mine completely go bone dry. I keep it a little bit moist.
My daughter has one, and she uses the IV bag looking water, the automatic water. She sticks it in. Yeah,
is that because she's in the veterinary industry?
That's the nurse daughter, the other.
She gets her supplies from the veterinarian sister then, right?
Really?
I'm just guessing. You said it was like IV looking bag.
No, it's literally it sits on a little peg that sits into the pot, and it says IV H2O, and it just goes down into the water. So
there you go.
Good.
Do what you do.
Good job, Cary. Good job, Austin. Austin,
you.
as
Thank you,
always.
guys. Thank you, Tyler.
Hey,
Yeah.
Thank you,
You're
David.
welcome.
Capable skills of Tyler Blankenship.
oh my goodness.
Is he going to do that editing this week, or is that while he's
He'll get as
while
much as he
resting?
can.
Okay.
Michael, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
You've been reasonably quiet today. There's just not a lot of space when you got this many in the.
He wants his camel jerky, is what he wants. All righty, folks. All righty, fun, frivolity, information. Hey, we'll be back next Saturday morning for another at-home show. If you want to join us, we're here for you. You can watch 24 hours a day, anywhere on the planet on YouTube. There's a lot of stuff archived back there that you can go and see. We didn't even talk about the plants this week, so we'll get to those, and maybe we'll talk about those during off the air, and then we'll maybe tell them what's going on.
That was a Caroline special right there.
All righty, folks. See you next Saturday morning.